The Podcasting Dead is available on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. Make sure to subscribe for more podcasts. And while you're at it, drop us a like. If you want to help support the channel and have access to extra content, secret contests, and more, make sure to search for us on Patreon. Patreon.com/thepodcastingdead.
All right, better late than never, I guess. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're the Podcasting Dead. So this podcast it normally comes out on Monday. It's our Monday Walking Dead What Ifs. And when we told you last week that we would see you again on Monday, it kind of completely slipped our mind that, Labor Day was Monday and that we wouldn't be in the studio. So we apologize, but again, here it is. Just a little late, but I think we'll be okay. What do you think, JP?
I hope so. I hope ain't nobody mad at us. I hope the sex bots that keep commenting on our videos are not mad,
It's going to be funny. You're going to get a message and be like, well, I wasn't a sex bot. I actually really wanted to do something dirty with you, but being that you called me a sex bot, I'm out. Well, I'm taking this horniness elsewhere.
God bless them. We'll find.
Oh, well, we got some good Walking Dead What Ifs.
Oh, yeah, man. Got a slew of them. This one from a week ago from Simba Trey.
Simba Trey.
Yeah, it says, before I list my two what ifs, I gotta say y'all had me dying when y'all talked at the elderly Carol part. I'm 23. I don't know if that is why, or is it because I was a teenager back in season 1 through 4, but I always viewed Carol as older. But you guys are right. She's not elderly. It's just gray hair and being a little older. Well, I used to think that, as always, here are my two what-ifs.
Well, first, let me say, going back and rewatching it, man, she totally looked older in the first three seasons. I'd say, the second half of season 4 is kind of where, when her hair started growing out, it's kind of where, I realized Carol's not really that old. I mean, yeah, she's older than me, but she's not old, definitely not elderly. She just, the short gray hair. And, they had her dirty all the time, just the prison look. They all looked grimy, made her look older, but she actually isn't. I've been just going through watching random episodes and watched the Terminus episode where she was freeing the Terminus. Uh-huh. She don't look bad. I know you don't find her attractive, but she looks like she's a pretty lady. But anyways, go ahead.
Okay, here's a what if from Simba. What if Shane actually raped Lori as he attempted in the CDC during the season 1 finale when he was drunk and lifted her skirt and she kept telling him no and to leave. Then she scratched his face in self-defense to get him off of her. What would Rick and others do? And I love Shane a lot. But why is it we all forget he literally almost raped a woman? Even I forgot until I rewatched season 1 a while back. Even Negan, who's cold-blooded, did not allow rape or attempted rape. Negan would have killed Shane if he saw that Shane was doing to Lori before she scratched him, drunk or not. No excuse to harass a woman like that. Us men have to understand no means no.
What a good lesson. Yes. Remember that, fellas, which I'm sure our listeners are all great people and they understand that. But just make sure no means no. I'm going to tell you, man, growing up, that was just something we did not play with. I remember we had one guy in high school that supposedly took things a little too far with a female friend of ours. And thank goodness for him, when he found out everybody was looking for him, he kind of disappeared for a little while. But yeah, no means no.
What's your stance on just an eye for an eye raping the rapist? Like if you were in prison,
is that's how you pay them back? Just
right,
raping the rapist?
Do you think that's like say you're in the penitentiary, man? You're doing a 20-year sentence. A child molesting rapist comes in. Do you cornhole him? Just
I don't know that's how I would handle his punishment, but
you get something out of it. He gets his just desserts.
I don't know.
It's cosmic justice. Anyway, though, I forgot that Shane tried to rape Lori, too.
Yeah,
I totally forgot about that.
He did. Totally. If she wouldn't have gotten violent with him, he would have probably had his way. And we do seem to forget that about Shane. I think one of the reasons why we forgive it, and it's not forgivable, there's no excuse for rape whatsoever. But I think the reason why as the audience is because we get to know Shane, and on top of that, he was very drunk when it happened. It wasn't sober Shane. If there's one thing we can say is sober Shane never put Lori in that position. Mm-hmm. Sober Shane definitely constantly was professing his love, but he never cornered her, never put her in a position like that. And again, being drunk is not an excuse, But your inhibitions are lowered when you're drunk, and he was sloppy drunk. It's not. I don't know that I'd say we forgive it, but I think we learn to move on from it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's probably the case in a lot of things like this. A woman who has in the past had consensual sex with a guy and then cuts him off, and he thinks, he can still get that when he really can't.
Right.
Shit like that happens. But anyway,
again, no means no.
No means no.
If Rick would have found out about it, I don't know that season 1 Rick would have killed Shane. I think he would have beat his ass, and I think the rest would. Now because he said Rick and the rest of the group, so this is assuming maybe somebody walked in and he had, or she told them whatever. But everybody knows that Shane raped Lori. Mm-hmm. I think they would have locked him away. I think honestly that could have been for some good drama because they could have locked him away. And sober Shane could have been like, man, that wasn't me, blah, 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 blah. And then when the building's going to blow up, that presents Rick with a really tough choice. Like, do I go back, kind of like T-Dog with Merle? Do I go back and save Shane? Or do I just let him blow up with the CDC because he's a rapist piece of shit? And but I definitely don't. I think Shane would have eventually been banished. I don't know that they would. Rick was cold enough at that point to just kill Shane, but I definitely think he would have, tried to whoop his ass. And I think that he would have been booted out the group quick and told, like, if you come back, I will kill you.
I think the ultimate punishment would have been to just lock him in the back of the RV, and Dale just lectures him all day, every day. With that freaking constipated owl face.
With Dale face.
Right.
But he can't do it from the RV, though. Dale has to be, like, just at a window where just his head's showing, and he's making that face, peering in the window, and he's lecturing him.
Oh, geez.
You're a decent man. Oh my goodness. Good question, though, man. We do seem to overlook that. And I think it's because, John Bernthal is just such an awesome actor that you just kind of, because, Shane, despite that, is still one of my favorite characters. I love the character of Shane, man. And I definitely don't think he needed to stick around much longer because then it would have been just dragging it out. But he left such a huge impact on that show. Rick killing him was kind of a big tipping point from Rick between being officer friendly to, on the road to biting someone's throat out.
Mm-hmm. Yep. To Eugene biting a dick. But anyway, number 2. What if all our group lost or didn't meet our antagonist? Which group would, in your opinion, be the most successful and or last the longest? Also, tell me how things would be for each of these groups. I'll list some of our group's antagonists. Terminus group, Woodbury, first group, Governor, second group, after Woodbury, Negan's group, hospital group, Whisperers, and Wolves. So I guess it's saying who would, if none of these encountered Rick and company, who would have lasted the longest, who would have been on top?
Oh, man, well, if the governor's second wave wouldn't have come through, I feel like things would have been a lot better. They really, he just happened to catch them off guard, you know what I mean? It was like that was their biggest problem, was like Herschel had a good point, right? The whole, trying to create a regular life. But the problem was they got too comfortable. It's almost like Glenn was telling Maggie with that zombie, like, hey, I forgot that they're dangerous.
Yeah.
And it's like the problem is you can want a regular life all day long, and that's fine, but you can't skip on the security, dude. You know what I mean? Like, you're living in a world full of dead people that want to eat living people, and on top of that, a world full of people who don't mind killing you to take what you have. So Rick and Herschel should have really just met in the middle somewhere. Rick's main concern, because you saw in those flashbacks on the season 4 finale, all the time he spent with Herschel kind of got him to the point where he left his gun, and which is funny because The Walking Dead, as much as I love this show, it's very back and forth. It's very like feel this way until you don't. Like Herschel's telling Rick in the flashbacks, you ain't gonna need that. It's going to get in the way. Just tell but then, but earlier in the season, he's telling Rick, when you go out there, you got to take your gun.
Yeah.
And I know that he's talking about outside the gate, outside the fence versus, and I get all of that, but it's funny because it sounds so contradictory. But Herschel and Rick should have met somewhere in the middle, man, and come to this understanding that yes, we are striving to have somewhat of a regular life and do all of these things, but you also have to understand that there are tons of people out there that are going to try to kill us to get what we have, and we need to be prepared for them. We need to set up a perimeter. We need better security. Hell, we really need more numbers, which the governor just happened to hit unknowingly at the best point he could have hit. because they were going through that virus.
Oh, yeah.
They had just gotten over it. Glenn was sick. Sasha was sick. I mean, a lot of your heavy hitters that would have played a role in that as far as, supporting characters. Karen, Karen. What's it? What the name? Karen. It was Tyrese's girl that Carol burnt.
Oh, right.
But she could have been a fighter. I mean, there's the doctor. The young doctor that died, he could have been. You could have had so many more numbers to push the governor back. I mean, hell, they might not have even. I mean, the tank would have made it through the gates, but you could have maybe mowed down the entire army before they got to advance. But it's one of those things where I don't know. I just feel like had the governor's second wave not come through when it did, or had the virus not happened, the prison would have outlasted a lot of folks. I mean, it's hard to say more so than Alexandria because they got some damn good walls, but I don't know. I've rambled on long enough. What do you think?
Man, I think the group that definitely would have fared the best, Negan and the Saviors, because for one thing, no matter how many of those mofos you kill, he's still like 100 men strong. You know what I'm saying?
You don't think that another group would have came to, even if Rick's group wouldn't have, you don't feel like there's another group out there that wouldn't have taken it to him eventually?
I don't, man.
Like if they would have ran into the Commonwealth, which I would hope Negan would have enough sense to be like, all right, we can't mess with them. Let's
yeah, they got choppers and stuff.
Let's just roll away from that.
I guess we'll once the Commonwealth is revealed, we'll see what they could do. But
we're less than a month away from the season 10 finale. Which, JP, we need to do some live streaming afterwards. So,
for sure.
I mean, whether it be both at my house or just remotely the way we've been doing them, we're still going to do a live stream after the episode.
Yeah, man.
So if you're new to the channel, keep it locked here because we do hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the like button on this podcast. It helps us out a ton. But we will definitely be back. That was something we had started doing for this season and really enjoyed it and seemed to get good feedback doing the live streams immediately following the episode, which I know we're kind of competing with The Talking Dead, but whatever. But so we'll definitely be back on that, and we'll be doing that with the World Beyond too, because that's going to start the same night.
Oh, geez,
we might actually have to do a live stream like after both of those are over with.
Gosh, that's right. I forgot about the
we might just do one joint live stream talking about both. But what do you? So you think that the Saviors would probably have lasted the longest?
Yeah, I think they'd have been all right.
I feel like Terminus had their time coming. I mean, let's face it, they were definitely well organized and they had a good plan. But I mean, Rick and the group dismantled that shit their first day there. Negan would have rolled up in there and easily taken that place over just by sheer force alone. Now, I don't know if the governor could have taken it. The governor, despite how much I like the governor as a character, and now him and Negan one-on-one, we've had that discussion in the past, and I don't even know who I had said would win. But, Negan versus the governor, hand-to-hand would be a good fight. The governor's a beast. He's got, he can throw down. He's a good shot. He's just a strong dude. I mean, he can fight. And we know Negan can fight as well. But now, group versus group, there's no way he could have taken Negan. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Negan has a bunch of thugs like as his group, you know what I mean? Like a bunch of rough around the edge guys and gals who don't mind like just doing some dirty shit. They're used to shooting and killing. Meanwhile, the governor's army consists mostly of children and people with zero experience in this arena. So, I mean, the governor's armies would have been wiped out completely unless the governor was able to manipulate Negan in some way, to which I don't think would have happened. Because, I think Negan would have seen that shit coming a mile away.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw Spencer try to charm him, and that did not work. Because a lot of people were like, well, the governor could charm him. And Spencer tried that. And though Spencer isn't the governor, Negan doesn't. He sees through bullshit pretty quickly.
He certainly does. But
so you're voting that the Saviors, I think, again, if the circumstances were right. I mean, you got to take away the whole virus thing, take away the governor's second wave. If those two things wouldn't have transpired right at the same time, I feel like the prison group would have gotten strong. They were constantly taking in new people. They just should have focused more on security, which, again, backpedaling here wasn't really their fault because so many people were so focused on that virus. Mm-hmm. Normally they would have had more people to fight and could have.
That's true.
The whole time I'm watching that, I'm thinking, all right, I've never been to war, so my opinion doesn't mean anything. But if I were Rick, when I went to walk down to talk to the governor, I would have told Daryl, take a group, and I want you to flank them from behind. Yeah. Like, don't get me caught in the crossfire, but I want you to. I mean, like, they're all in one spot. They're all right in front of the prison in one spot. Go around behind them. Don't do anything until I give you a signal. If I give you a signal, we don't want Michonne and Herschel caught in the crossfire. But at the same time, we've got a much better chance if shit pops off with a group behind them, so we can surround them. You know what I mean? Catch them in some crossfire.
Yeah.
But again, a lot of times people don't realize it's like, well, you can always do things better in hindsight. Hindsight wasn't something Rick had on his side during that encounter.
No, man. No.
But yeah, great question. I mean, had they not encountered, all right, so to help go further into his question before we move on, which group do you think had the biggest, most lasting impact on the group? So which antagonist do you think left the most, what's the word I'm looking for? Left the most. I can't even think this morning. Left the biggest scars. Left the longest lasting impact. There you go. It's Tuesday.
I mean, yeah, I think Negan's an easy answer, but I think at the same time, just the governor being kind of their first big tangle. You know.
Oh yeah.
I think
first big defeat.
Yeah, it kind of set a precedent and all.
I mean, essentially they won because more of them survived, while like none of the governor's people survived, except for Tara, who never fought to begin with. She just pretty much from the second they got there realized this is wrong. Like, what are we doing? You know, he had them thinking they were going up against these savages, and then she hears Rick talk and sees Herschel and sees Michonne and realizes he manipulated us. Like, these people aren't evil at all.
Yeah.
One thing that makes me mad, though, is not disclosing things, and I'm not going to go on a long tangent, but like going back to the whole Andrea Governor Rick thing. So when Rick and the governor were having their talk, right, clearly you can tell, even from Rick's point of view, that the governor has Andrea seduced. You know, he's got her judgments clouded. And, you know, Rick's point of view is to try to prove to her that he's a bad guy. But they haven't named anything that terrible per se.
Right.
But, like, when he says the thing with Maggie, when he's like, you know, and I know what you did with Maggie or whatever. And he says, no, that was Merle. And he goes, no, you know what I'm talking about. Why wouldn't you just look at Andrea right there and be like, you know, he made Maggie strip down naked and molested her? I mean, why wouldn't you have just said that? I mean, it's almost like why? Like, why wouldn't you have just told her that right there? No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about when you molested Maggie. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Just something. I mean, it's like it's almost like Rick was like, all right, we know Andrea kind of wants to come back, but she kind of loves the governor, but we don't really want her back. Right. So we're just not going to disclose how bad he is, so she'll stay her ass over there. But anyways, no, I think I would say the governor for sure. I think the governor's, especially the second attack, I think the governor had the longest lasting effect on them. I mean, it shaped their distrust for people. I mean, immediately after that, they go to Terminus, and their first thought is to sneak in from the back.
Yeah.
Whereas they might not have thought that way originally.
Yeah, that's true.
Great question.
Yeah, a lot to chew on there. The Kyle King of Trash people a week ago. What if Negan and the Saviors had found Alexandria before Rick and company arrived? Imagining they had a secret agreement like the Kingdom, how would they have reacted to coming into a safe zone that was already under Savior control? Now that's interesting.
I think Rick would have been like, well, we appreciate the hospitality, but we're probably going to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like that SpongeBob meme, like, all right, I'm out.
Yeah, as soon as they found out that, he kind of bashes someone's brains in upon the first meeting.
Yeah, no, I think Rick would have been like, we're not dealing. Well, then again, though, I don't know. I mean, that's the easy answer. But then again, think about Rick. You know what? It probably would have played out exactly the same. To be completely honest with you, it probably would have played out exactly the same. Because when Rick found out about the Saviors controlling the hilltop, he wasn't the least bit concerned. He was like, all right, well, here's the deal. We'll kill him if you give us some food.
Yeah.
So then again, I jokingly think, saying he's going to be like, all right, I'm going to head out. But I mean, in real life, I think that Rick probably would have done the same thing with Alexandria that he did for the hilltop. Would have been like, look, these people are weak. They can't do it. But maybe if we can take out these savior people, we can get in good with this community. I think it would have played out much the same. The same. I think Rick and them would have went and, tried to take out Negan and his group, and things would have played out very, very similar. Albeit the little details would be different. They might not have attacked the satellite outpost because they found out about that from the hilltop. Or they might have been like, still ran into Jesus at some point and ended up going to the hilltop and being like, oh, yeah, we're at war with Negan and them now. So I think your story would have played out a lot the same.
Yeah, and I wonder if they even would have been out there, like, looking for other survivors because, I mean, they'd have been having to give half their rations to Negan.
Right, why do we need more mouths to feed?
Right, so I wonder if Aaron would have even been out there, like, scouting for more people.
Probably scouting for supplies, and that's it.
Yeah, so they definitely would have encountered a completely different Alexandria. That's for sure.
Yeah, they might not have even ever made it to Alexandria unless they stumbled onto it. But, I mean, Aaron's the one that met them and took them to it. So they might not have even ever made it to Alexandria.
Yeah, that's true. Jimmy Schneider, 1 week ago, what if Lori was around for this Savior arc? How would she have reacted to it? And do you think Negan would have taken her to the Barn of Pleasures? Well, I mean...
I think he would have tried just to get at Rick, but I don't care what people say. We had one video where we were asking a question and somebody was saying they thought that Lori would become one of Negan's wives. Like, I don't see that at all, man. Lori was a douche there at the end, but I don't think Lori would have just left Rick and Carl to go bang Negan and live in his palace. Like, I don't think Lori was that douchey. I think that... she went out there flashing it to Glenn and other people. She just had an entanglement with Shane because she thought her husband was dead, and it just worked. She wasn't after any other men after that. It's not like she was floozing around camp. Right. And once Rick came back, she was loyal to Rick. It's not like Shane took her in the back and, that rapey scene, like she just said, yes, Shane, give it to me. Once she learned Rick was alive, she was loyal to Rick. I mean, granted, she was a douche when she pretty much told Rick to kill Shane, and when he did, she acted stupid. But I don't think Lori would have become one of Negan's wives. I think he would have tried just to get under Rick's skin. The only way she would have done it if it would have been to save Rick or Carl's life.
Right.
I could see Negan basically saying, well, honey, you do have a choice, just like I have a choice. If you don't come be one of my wives, and I'm just going to blow your husband's head off. Kind of like Dwight, like his wife supposedly, Sherry, went into the thing to save Dwight's life.
Yeah.
That's the only way Lori would have ended up as one of Negan's wives, if it would have been to save Rick and Carl. Because I did not like Lori, but don't underestimate her loyalty to Rick and Carl.
Yeah.
Because it was there. She just was a douche.
I don't think Negan would have even invited her into the harem. I don't think Negan's into skinny-legged women.
Not enough meat on the bones for me, honey.
Yeah.
I think he would have invited her, but just to dig at Rick.
I think he would have invited Rick into the harem. Just like share some of his bounty with me, brother.
The Barn of Pleasures.
Yeah, God, that's where this is going. Let's move on before this spirals.
Well, now, what was the first question, though? With the Barn of Pleasures, but what else did they ask?
What if Lori was around for the Savior arc? Which, I mean, we kind of answered. You think Negan would have basically used her to get to Rick.
Oh, yeah, would have definitely propositioned. And it's hard to imagine Lori in future scenarios because even in the comic, man, she was out after the prison.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think it would have played out. Well, I mean, you got to think how much would be different if Lori was alive. You wouldn't have Rick and Michonne. Mm-hmm. Michonne, and I'm telling you, man, when you come talk about show relationships, one of my favorite relationships on that show's history is Michonne and Carl. I love their relationship. Like, I like how they started off strangers. They became that's one of the most organic, most natural feeling relationships on the entire Walking Dead show is Michonne and Carl. I mean, they started off as strangers. Carl was this hardened little kid, and when they first go to the trip where Morgan's living, back to Rick's old town, and he and Michonne bond there, and then they bond during the time after the prison, and I love, like, that's my favorite relationship in the show is Michonne and Carl. And that, I don't think I would have, I don't know, like we wouldn't have probably gotten that. Michonne might have stayed colder because, she wouldn't have, Carl kind of helped bring her back. Rick kind of helped bring her back. But I mean, essentially, Carl telling Rick that she's one of us had a lot to do with that, I feel. So, I mean, it would have been a lot different. You might not have had Michonne stick around, or if she did, she might not have ever opened up in the way that she did.
Yeah. All I know is Lori probably would have stayed just as annoying as she was in previous seasons.
Can't be no more annoying than Andrea.
I was not a Lori.
I wasn't a Lori or Andrea fan, but Andrea was my least favorite ever in the show. Again, nothing to do with Lori Holden's acting. She's great. It's just the character was written awful.
She was easier on the eyes, though. You can't.
Oh no, yeah. Well, I mean, I've seen Sarah Wayne Colley, and other stuff, and she's dressed. I mean, you got to think in The Walking Dead, they were trying to make them look rough. You know what I mean? Like they needed to look like they. You know, I've seen her in other stuff, and I mean, it's preference as to who's prettier, I guess. But I mean, she's not a bad looking lady.
Well, that's just like I said, not enough meat on the bone for me. But anyway, moving on. You'll have to forgive me. I asked the comments went away, so I had to bring them back up, and I'm like, where was I? Oh no. Oh, okay, here we go. Taylor Madden, 6 days ago. What if Dale exposed Shane about killing Otis and pointing a gun at Rick?
I thought you were about to say, what if Dale exposed himself to Shane? Look at what kind of man I am, Shane.
Oh,
you think because you got a big dong, I ain't scared to whoop your ass, old man. All Laura's got to do is take one look at it. And she ain't going to be worried about you, Shane.
Oh, man, those rifles weren't the only gun he is hiding down there at the creek.
If I'm the kind of man that'll kill someone I don't know, what do you think I'll do to an old man's dick in the middle of the woods?
Oh, Lord.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but it cracked me up because at first I really thought you said, what if Dale exposed himself to Shane in the middle of the woods? You want to know how I'm going to stop your madness, Shane? I've got the biggest dick. Shane would be like, damn.
You probably did.
Rick, I think we need to kick Dale out. If for any reason Lori sees him naked, ain't neither one of us gonna get her ever again.
Oh no.
I seen what you did to Lori at the place, the CDC. So now it's my turn. Come here and give Dale some sugar.
Oh man.
All right, go on. I'm sorry.
All right.
But the whole time he's got his wang hanging out, he's making that Dale face.
Yeah. Oh,
look at it, Shane.
Oh
my God.
Oh Lord in heaven. All right. Well, do you think if Dale did expose himself to fuck? If he exposed Shane, do you think the group would have wanted him out? Of course, the entire Green family would.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
Also, how do you think All Life is Precious Morgan would handle the Whisperers?
Very interesting. I think that if Dale would have exposed that and Shane would have admitted to it. Oh yeah, Herschel would have won. They would have had a choice. They could either fight to stay on the farm, or they would have had to have leave. And I don't think Rick would have let them try to take over the farm at that point. So I think they probably would just have left, or Rick might have kicked Shane out himself to be like, look, man, we'd go with you, but I got to keep Lori and Carl alive. And I mean, you're the one that did this. Yes. Be a very conflicting place to be too, from Rick's point of view, because I mean, yeah, the dude killed one of this guy's men, but at the same time, he did it to save your son.
Yeah.
So, I mean, at one point you seem ungrateful, but then on the other point you seem ungrateful to a different party. So, but I definitely think Herschel would have wanted them gone. I think Patricia would have tried to kill Shane.
Oh, dude, yeah.
Like, I mean, she probably wouldn't have been successful, but I could totally see her, like, sneaking into his tent with a knife or, it definitely would have made things, we might not have ever gotten to the barn situation because Shane would have either been killed or kicked out or, been kicked out and fought back, and Rick would have had to have put him down just to, calm everything.
Yeah.
But I definitely think it would have meant a quicker end for Shane, unless he just got banished and then later came back. But
exactly.
I don't see Shane being the kind to just leave either.
No.
Just imagine Dale with his Hawaiian shirt out there, helicopter dick.
Lord.
To impress Shane, do a helicopter dick.
Oh.
And All Life is Precious Morgan would not. That would have been. I'm so glad we didn't have to deal with that in the Whisperers.
Yeah, he would have just got a bunch of people killed and then went crazy again.
Alpha would have been like, I agree, Morgan. That's why even after life, I keep you with me because you're precious.
Yeah, that would have got on my nerves.
I don't think All Life is Precious Morgan would have prevailed. I don't even think he would have lasted that long because after seeing those heads on the pike, I think Morgan would have gone back to seeing red, as he calls it. I think it would have brought out the evil Morgan.
Yeah.
Or I don't want to say evil, but savage Morgan.
Yeah, savage.
I think that dealing with the Whisperers would have put All Lives Are Precious Morgan down for good. I feel like he would have that moment of realization that some people just cannot be saved.
Yeah.
Because Alpha was certain. I mean, God, man, her final moments, she was going to kill her daughter. In her mind, she had to kill her daughter. No one else. It had to be her to kill her daughter. So, I mean, you're not going to change somebody's mind like that. You can't always get through to people with kind gestures. Some people are too far gone. And I think Morgan, all lives are precious, Morgan would have had that moment of clarity, and it would have brought back out Savage Morgan, to which then the Whisperers being... How badass would have been to see Beta going against Morgan with his stick?
Oh, my God. Now that might have been worth it.
The whole, man, them killing off Jesus the way they did, even though I know he wanted to leave the show... Still, though, man, I still want a Negan and Beta brawl, and I still really would have loved to have seen a Jesus and Beta brawl.
Yeah, me too.
Now I kind of want to see a Stick Morgan. I want to see a balance, though. I don't want the Seeing Red, because the Seeing Red Morgan, he's savage, but he's reckless. That's how Jesus was able to get the best of him. And I mean, even though, Morgan ended up with the stick at Jesus' throat, that's only because Jesus gave him the stick back. Like, Jesus fully took him hand to hand, took his stick from him and everything. Like, if Jesus wanted to have, he could have killed Morgan right then. The only reason, Morgan ended up with the stick to Jesus' throat is because Jesus gave it back to him to kind of help him, clear his head. But so I would have loved a balance between like Savage Morgan, there to kill, but at the same time has the clarity of all lives are precious Morgan.
Oh, gosh, excuse me. Thinking about Dale's big old wieners just has screwed up my respiratory system.
You see, I know what kind of a man you are, Shane. Drop them and let's compare them.
Yeah. All right.
Then Lori would have walked through the woods. Shane, I just needed to... They're just standing there with their dicks out.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go tell Rick that you're no longer a threat. And you and Dale, you enjoy yourselves.
Yeah. Oh, Lord. Oh, you ready for some rapid fire from Jonas Belili?
Yeah, man.
All right. What if you can save any killed-off character from all-out war through the Whisperer War, but that character is sent to Fear the Walking Dead? Who would it be, and would he or she change the Fear story?
Oh, man.
That's
that's a really good question.
Yes, it is.
I mean, you got to think, which character would make Fear better? I mean, ultimately, I think Abraham... It's just no way that I still think there's no way Abraham couldn't be on Fear and at least be a little better. I mean, Abraham was funny. He was a badass. I mean, I loved Abraham so much. One of my favorites. And but during the all-out war, so that includes, Carl. And because Carl died in all-out war. Well, through the Whisperer War, you got Sadiq, Carl, Jesus, Abraham.
I know who mine is.
I'm thinking of main characters here. We lost some side characters too, but I'm thinking of some of the main characters. We lost Tara, Enid, Henry, God forbid, Henry.
If I had my druthers, it would be Simon, just so they could have a decent villain on that show.
I would. That would have been cool if Negan would have not killed Simon, but basically banished him, or if Simon would have escaped.
Right.
And then could have been a villain, basically taking Negan's practices to the extreme and Fear. I'm with you 100%.
Yeah.
As much as I love Abraham, what that show lacks isn't good. We like the characters. John Dory, I really kind of get the John and June relationship kind of gets annoying, but I like John Dory. I like Morgan. Alicia is okay. But they have some good main characters. You're right. That's what they're missing more than a good protagonist is a good antagonist.
Yeah.
So, that's a great point. Simon for the win.
Love Simon. All right. You can replace certain lackluster actors with A-list Hollywood actors. Who would it be, and who would they do, and would they do any better, i.e. Emma Watson as Beth or Angelina Jolie as Lori? Wow. Well,
I mean, can we get because I don't know, man.
That's
Beth
tough.
is a character I just never cared for, not at any point. I like Emily Kenny too, man. When she was killed off the show and was on Fear the Walking Dead, she seems like an absolute sweetheart, but I just didn't. Her cry annoyed me because her cry sounded like stifled laughter. So she's like, don't know what I'm talking about. Go back to season 2, episode 9, I think. The right after they cleared the barn and Sophia was killed. It's like that Next episode, when she's like, Mom, and goes out there, her crying is so. And then on top of that, she's a singer, and she's a good singer. Great voice, and she's a good songwriter. But I don't want to hear you singing. I don't watch The Walking Dead to be a musical show.
Right.
So when they kept on forcing her music on us, I'm like, oh my God, shut it. So it's really not so much the actress. Again, kind of like with Lori, it's not so much the actress. It's just the way she was written that I wasn't that big a fan of. But as someone who's not an actor, but a big fan of watching shows, I will tell you, to Emily Kinney, the only thing I would recommend she work on is her crying. Because it sounded more like she was like maniacally laughing.
Yeah.
Mom! Like, did she get the Joker serum somewhere along the line?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
But let's think. I mean, so who would you like to see replaced?
Gosh, that's what I've been pondering. It's what I've been wondering.
I still, even though he's not, I love, again, I repeat myself a lot, but it's because we get new viewers every week. So for those new to the podcast, I absolutely love Jeffrey Dean Morgan as Negan. Let me just make sure that is clear. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is a national treasure and should be protected at all costs. With that said, I still want to see a John Hamm Negan. I will not die a happy man unless somehow, some way. It's like we were watching, what was my girlfriend was watching the other night? Was it a movie or a show? But John Hamm has like a cameo. God, what was it? John Hamm has this little cameo in it, and he's just such a versatile actor, too. Jeffrey Dean Morgan plays Negan phenomenally, but that is not how I imagine Negan in the comics. Like, Jeffrey Dean's personality, the way he plays Negan is not how I read Negan in the comics. A more stern, like, smart-ass John Hamm, I think. That would be my top. I would just love to see John Hamm take the role of Negan. I see Negan, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, I don't know. What about you?
Jeez, man, that's a tough one, though.
Nicolas Cage is Rick.
Oh, shucks.
Keanu Reeves is Rick, but he's in character like Bill and Ted. Whoa, Negan. Don't do this anymore.
Oh, God.
Not today. Not tomorrow. But one day, I will kill you.
Ugh.
Don't touch my son. He needs that hand.
Oh,
Who would you like to see, though?
God in heaven.
You know who I would like to have seen? And again, let me preface this. Well, let me let you finish. I don't want to keep taking your spotlight. I just know you're struggling over there. Keep the silence at bay.
Oh, gosh.
All right, I'm going to tell you someone I'd like to see in an alternate reality playing Michonne.
All right.
And you might be like, you're crazy, but I'm just telling you, she's a phenomenal actor, and I think that she could do it. But let me also preface this by saying, if you are new to the podcast, go back and listen. For the longest time, I have said my top two characters are Rick and Michonne. I love Michonne, and I love Denai Guerrera. She is fantastic. I now will watch movies just because she's in them. That's how much I enjoy Denai Guerrera. I think she's awesome, and I really hope to meet her one day. I love Denai Guerrera, but she's just kind of talking about what-ifs type things. I would like to see, maybe just a slightly younger, I would like to see Angela Bassett play Michonne.
Oh, yeah.
She's sassy. She's got that attitude. She's got that stern, badass, hard look. I think Angela Bassett could be a damn good Michonne. Now, maybe a little bit younger, but nonetheless, I think Angela Bassett would be a kick-ass. And Alpha. Let's not forget that how pumped I was to see Sarah Paulson maybe play Alpha. Because that was the rumor that Sarah Paulson was going to play Alpha.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So I've got a lot that I wouldn't mind switching out. But he did say minor character. So what do you think?
Oh, geez. I'll go with...
We're keeping all the main ones, but we're going for like side characters like Beth or Tyrese or, something like that.
We'll do Denzel as Father Morgan. Father Gabriel, I mean... You probably didn't know Morgan was a priest. No, Father Gabriel.
I wouldn't want to see Denzel as Father Gabriel because Denzel is just too hard-ass to play someone so soft. I mean, he could play the modern Father Gabriel, but seeing him as like a little whiny bitch, man, would have been something I'm not used to seeing Denzel being.
It would have been a real stretch.
What about if we could have Dave Chappelle as Daryl?
Oh, Jesus.
In character as Tyrone Bigham. Damn, Rick!
He did a good Negan on SNL.
I love Dave Chappelle, but no minor characters, man. So we're thinking, well, like, I don't know, but Tyrese was somewhat of a main character.
Yeah.
I mean,
in his way.
And like I said, I like Chad Coleman. I think that's his name, right? Chad Coleman.
I think Denzel would have been a good governor.
That I could see, just being kind of like his character on American Gangster, just being ruthless. Man, that's tough. So Denzel would be your choice. Just bring Denzel Washington and drop him in somewhere.
Yeah.
That is good. But as far as replacing some of the smaller characters, like Beth, who would I replace Beth with? I don't really know, man. It's hard to picture them as somebody else. I'll have Angelina Jolie be Lori. I think for Lori, I don't know, man. Who would you have rather seen play Lori other than Sarah Wayne Collins?
Sure. Anybody with a better body, to be honest.
A young Anna Kendrick would have been cute to play Beth.
Yeah.
Let's see. You know who I would have liked to see? Let me see. Hold on. Sorry, I'm looking up. You got anything to add?
No, I blank whenever I try to think of movie stars.
Anne Hathaway as Lori.
Oh, dude. Okay, yeah.
I've always just thought Anne Hathaway was freaking gorgeous, man. I would love to see her play Lori.
Yeah, maybe Jessica Alba as Maggie, even though she doesn't look Irish at all, but still. Yeah, but yeah, that's some good. Okay.
That's tough, man. I'm gonna have to come back to that.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Here's another one. What if you can switch actors in the show and their characters? Who would it be, and would it make sense? I'd let Michael Cutlitz play as Jesus. He seems to fit the comic version. That would have been interesting.
Huh. I don't really see that, but that is an interesting. Maybe. I just picture Jesus as being more toned. I mean, for Jesus as actor, I would have imagined almost like not quite as burly, but almost a Jason Momoa type, this because Jesus in the comics was, I mean, when I say he was muscular, he wasn't like Negan stocky, but I mean, he was a stout fella. I mean, he once made a comment to Rick about being so skinny. I mean, Jesus was this, and I like Tom Payne playing Jesus, but that is an interesting point, like switching actors in different roles, having Jeffrey Dean Morgan be Jesus.
That would be interesting. I would switch Denai Guerrera with, I forget his name, King Ezekiel. She'd be King Ezekiel and he would be Michonne.
So would she be King Ezekiel or would she be Queen Ezekiel?
She would be King Ezekiel. It would be just a gender bender mashup.
I mean, that could be interesting.
And then, I forget his name, King Ezekiel, he would be playing Michonne. He'd be playing a woman.
I could see in like today's, as PC as the world's gotten, it's like, Rick's like, King Ezekiel. Don't you mean Queen Ezekiel? Jesus, Rick. Just you can be whatever you want to be. Jesus, you bigot. I'm sorry, she just looked like a woman. I didn't mean anything by it.
Think of all those.
Educate yourself.
It'd be Andrew Lincoln and King Ezekiel as Michonne.
Imagine seeing Shane as Negan.
Ooh.
John Bernthal like beefed up a little bit playing Negan.
Yeah. That could have worked.
The one thing they got right with Jeffrey Dean Morgan is his height because he needed to tower over Rick. And Jeffrey Dean Morgan's a pretty tall fella. I think Andy Lincoln's like 5'10", maybe.
Yeah.
And I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan's like 6'2", 6'3". So they did good on the height part. It just, when he first showed up, he was really skinny. And I'm like, dude, Negan was this burly beast of a man. That's what made him so intimidating. Is it's like, real. I mean, he straight up snaps Rick's leg like a twig.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's do one more. Think of one more character swap that you would do. Before we move on, like two characters, you'd swap their characters.
Oh boy, that's a tough proposition.
It's a toughie.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, man. I mean, everybody's just so perfect for who they are.
Yeah, they really are.
I mean, what if you would have had Jesus and Aaron switch roles? I could have seen that.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been too awful.
I could see Tom Payne being Aaron, and Aaron's because Ross Marquand's a little stout, a little stockier and bigger than than Tom Payne is. I could definitely see Aaron playing Jesus. Actually, now that I think about it, imagine Aaron with the stocking cap, the long hair, and the goatee. I think he could have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Ross Marquand would have been a great Jesus. And I think, now see, that's for me like build and stuff. That's how I imagine as Jesus brought to the show.
Yeah.
But good question, man. You really got us thinking this morning.
Yeah, that's wild, man.
I think my Labor Day brain wasn't prepared for this.
No, mine's not. What if Jenner also mentioned something else to Rick in addition to what Rick had already confessed that is of importance to the Walking Dead universe? What would it be?
Wait, what?
So, when Jenner tells Rick that everyone's infected, they're all already dead, what if he whispered a second thing? Can you imagine something that would have been just as groundbreaking?
I saw Dale in the shower and his dick hangs to his knees.
His dick is huge, man.
He was trying to get that Shane fella to look at it, but he wouldn't. I got a feeling later in life he's going to catch him alone and make him look at it.
Make him look at it.
I mean, let me think. Everybody already has it. I mean, probably the most realistic thing would have been that there is no safe haven left on the planet. Like, be like everyone's already got it and the entire world is gone.
Or that, hey, I read on Twitter that space spores is what caused this.
That would have been cool.
Was there Twitter back then? I guess there was.
There was, yeah. It was Twitter.
Yeah.
There was the Twitters. But yeah, probably one of those two things, like an origin to the virus, like everyone already has it. It came as space spores, whatever, or or he might have said the whole world's gone. There is no safe place. Every fort is done. Every CDC is done. Every government has collapsed. There is nothing left on the planet. Which, honestly, adding that versus the origin thing would have been dope. But that would make sense as to understanding why he's just so content with ending it.
Yeah.
Like, tell Rick, we've already all got it. And there's no safe haven left. Every CDC has collapsed. Every government has been toppled. There is nothing left on this planet. That's why I want to do what I'm going to do. Yeah. You know what I mean? There is in his mind, there is no hope. I mean, I'm going to turn into one day anyways, and there's no safe haven for us. Why not just go ahead and take ourselves out?
Yeah. I mean, that's basically what he said. This is our extinction level event, And
that Andrea chick's got a nice butt.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's no denying that. Oh, boy. What amazing art could you come up with to replace Morgan's entrance into Fear the Walking Dead?
Just not do it.
Yeah, I mean, I would have liked to have seen him kind of carry on with the, what was the biker gang that was like trying to establish a network across the country and all this stuff?
Wait, what?
Like on Fear the Walking Dead, like towards the end of season 3 when they blew up the dam and those... Like,
oh, yeah. Yeah,
I mean, maybe just continue on with something like what they were just build on what they were working with instead of just scrapping everything. And
just having Morgan be like, I can't be here.
Yeah.
Everyone I love dies, so I'm going to go find another group of people to love, and then they're going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of stupid. I mean, I definitely would have liked to have seen something force him that way or force their paths to collide.
Yes.
I'm trying to, I mean, like, man, that's deep. Jonas be asking us those ones we need like a week to deliberate on.
I know, man. I know. Jonas
I mean, off the top of my head, man, I mean, you could have definitely had him. You know what I would have liked? I would have liked for him to go out looking for Rick.
All right.
Like, keep him on The Walking Dead until Rick's disappearance. And when Rick disappears, that's what sends Morgan out. Maybe Morgan sees the helicopter.
Yeah.
But, rush it. I mean, you could have, like, I would have wrote it because, of course, if he saw the helicopter, he'd have to tell people, and that would completely change the show because they all think Rick's dead. But, I mean, perhaps you could have had Morgan, Morgan's coming up around, and he's just in time to see Rick loaded on the helicopter, and he leaves. And maybe he's on a horse, and he follows the helicopter as far as he can, and then a herd cuts him off, basically to where he's forced to push forward. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like, he's following the helicopter. He doesn't have time to tell anyone. He don't have a radio, whatever. And he just is on the horse following the helicopter, and then he ends up getting caught in a herd or something, and that forces him to take refuge here, and then he ends up... basically that way to where he's kind of pushed down to the fear world, which I know that there was a little bit of a time jump there, but then that would have I would have liked that, honestly, because then you would be seeing what was happening while Rick was being carried. You know what I mean?
That's true.
That's how I'd write it. Morgan goes after the helicopter. He doesn't have time, or maybe his radio gets broke, or he doesn't have a radio. But Morgan goes after the helicopter that has Rick and Jadis, and then he gets, follows it for a pretty good ways, but then gets cut off by a herd. Maybe his horse dies, and now he's, a long ways from camp, and I don't know. Maybe he meets somehow he's following Rick's trail. Yeah. And that's how he ends up crossing paths with that group. And then, we already saw them in Fear the Walking Dead, so, that would have only added more to it. Could have given us more drama, more scenes where when Morgan sees that helicopter with the, like, oh, my God, these are the people that took Rick. Not the whole, everywhere I go, people I love die. Yeah. Like, no shit, man. It's the end of the world.
Yeah, that kind of happens, just
to everybody,
to life in general.
Everyone has to deal with that.
Yeah. So, and last on Jonas's docket, what if Rick is the masked ninja? That'd be crazy.
You know what? I would say, something negative, but to be honest, just to have Rick Grimes back on The Walking Dead, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Yep. I don't know why he decided to take up the mantle of the masked ninja instead of just being Rick. What if they've mutated him like some Resident Evil type junk, like he's been half mutated? More, Aaron, I'm back. Granted, it's been like 7 years, and I was like between 40 and 50 when we got to, so it's like, despite the fact that I'm becoming quite old, I'm still in shape enough to be a ninja. But I'd be happy with that just because we get Rick Grimes back. Not The Walking Dead has been fine without Rick, but still, come on, it's Rick Grimes, man. I think we all miss Rick Grimes.
We do. But that was a heck of a
got my brain hurting.
Questioning, Jonas. Now we've come to an impasse. There's still a lot of questions. I got a jet here in a bit. Should we do a part 2? Do you want to screenshot some comments?
No, let's just do one or two more, and then we'll pull the next ones into next week's.
Okay, because like I said, Dylan Watson has got like 10. Let's see.
Do one or two, and then we'll take what's left over and put it onto next week's podcast.
Let's see. Ashley O'Neill says, "What if Althea is the first Jadis?"
What do we mean? What do you mean?
That's what it says.
The first Jadis.
The first Jadis. What if Althea is the first Jadis?
I'm not quite sure what that means. Like she has her own garbage people out there, maybe?
Perhaps.
Do us a favor. Please elaborate on that question, and we will definitely answer it next week because I'm very interested in that, but I just want to make sure that we know what you're asking so we don't go off on some hour-long tangent and not even touch what you're talking about.
All right, well, Allie Smith says, what if Dwayne lived or at the very least stayed with Morgan, considering the theories that Dwayne's still alive? Would Morgan and Dwayne being there at the prison with the group change anything?
Oh, yeah, for sure. If Dwayne wouldn't have died, we probably wouldn't have got Crazy Morgan.
Yeah, he wouldn't have sought out Eastman. He didn't seek him out, but, he probably wouldn't have ran into Eastman. With him. Yeah. So that would have been a real game changer.
Oh yeah,
he wouldn't have had that whole Clear episode where he went crazy. And
I'm gonna tell you, man, I go back to it, but that episode with Rick and Morgan in season 3, where Rick, finds Morgan after all this time, man, Lenny James deserves some kind of an award for that because his acting is fan-frickin-tastic in that episode. It really, he plays unhinged and just disheveled so well. Can't remember exactly which episode that is as far as the number, but it's season 3. It's where they go to Rick's old town. They go to the police station trying to find weapons to fight the governor with. And then, of course, they run across Morgan and all of that. And it's the first time we've seen him since season 1. And oh my God, Lenny James is just phenomenal. Going back and watching it, man, his acting is like second to none in that episode.
Oh yeah, whenever they team up, man, it's always dynamite.
Yeah, I just I hope that I really hope they realize what they have on Fear the Walking Dead and stop wrecking that character. Like, just let him be him, because Lenny James is. I think Lenny James is well beyond a good enough actor to carry that show. It's just he's not being written in the way that he should.
Yeah. But we'll close it out with one of Dylan's, because Dylan has quite the cascade of questions, all good stuff. What if Merle gave Michonne to the governor? Would Michonne be dead?
Oh, yeah. God.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, unless she somehow fought her way out. But, I mean, if he... Oh, yeah. He was going to mess her up in some pretty... It looked like he was going toward comic. Because in the comics, he had her chained up, right? Like chains on her, had her hands tied and stuff. Because
she got raped. God.
Oh, yeah. In the comic, man, I knew
that was disturbing.
I knew AMC won't go that route in the show. Because in the comic, man, I mean, she got raped over and over again.
Yeah.
It was horrible. But then her payback to the governor was even worse. I mean, well, maybe I'm not going to say whose situation was worse, but I mean, she did use a spoon to scoop out his eyeball, then took the same spoon and shoved it up his ass and scooped out whatever she could. So, I mean, the governor paid for his crimes for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, oh, yeah, without a doubt, no question,
dead.
she'd be dead in a very horrific way. And,
Yeah.
And like I said, that's saying unless, like, she got rescued or she escaped.
Yeah. But it wouldn't have been a good time for Michonne.
Not one bit. If you're trapped in the governor's lair, you're not going to have a good time.
Nah.
But yeah, that's going to be it. We appreciate all the questions. Thank you so much. Remember to continue to leave those questions. I mean, I just a few weeks ago we were saying that if we didn't get more questions, we weren't going to continue to do the show, and now we'll continue to do the what ifs. And now we're getting so many that we can't do them all in one show.
It's true.
Keep it up, man. Keep the questions coming. We absolutely love them. Sorry that this is late, but at least you know we love you, and we try to get it out there. To our patrons, we are skipping today's Patreon podcast because of time constraints, but don't worry, we'll be back Thursday, and then we'll resume the Patreon podcast schedule from there forward every Tuesday and Thursday. And if you haven't checked out our Patreon, patreon.com/thepodcastingdead, or just go to Patreon and search for The Podcasting Dead. You get 8 extra podcasts a month. That can be about anything, paranormal, Walking Dead, our personal lives. JP's got a very interesting story to tell on this coming Thursday's Patreon cast, and it is quite the treat in hindsight.
Yeah, it wasn't a treat Sunday, but yeah, cool stuff to talk about.
Yeah, so we'll see you soon. I'm Justin.
I'm JP.
And we're The Podcasting Dead.
Bye-bye.
What if you just didn't go to your other job and we just kept podcasting?
If only that reality existed.
No. See ya.